There comes a moment in life when the noise outside becomes louder than the voice inside. Messages, opinions, expectations, comparisons, deadlines, pressure, and endless distractions start pulling you in every direction. You wake up tired, not because your body is exhausted, but because your mind has been running all night. In such moments, life is not asking you to work harder. Life is asking you to step back. Life is asking you to disappear for a while, not from the world, but from the chaos that is slowly stealing your peace. Disappearing for 6 months does not mean running away from responsibilities. It means running toward clarity. It means pressing pause on unnecessary drama so you can press play on what truly matters. Many people are afraid of silence because silence forces you to meet yourself. But that meeting is the most important meeting of your life. When you constantly stay available, people assume your time has no value. When you constantly explain yourself, people assume your boundaries are weak. When you constantly react, people assume they can control your emotions. 6 months of disappearance changes all of that. Think of a muddy glass of water. If you keep shaking it, it will remain dirty. But if you leave it undisturbed for some time, the mud slowly settles at the bottom and the water becomes clear. Your life is exactly like that. You don't need to fix everything immediately. You need stillness. You need distance. You need time away from noise so clarity can settle. There is a beautiful story of a young man who went to a wise monk and said, "My mind is always restless. Teach me peace." The monk handed him a cup filled to the brim with water and asked him to walk around the temple without spilling a drop. The young man focused so deeply on the cup that he forgot about his worries. When he returned, the monk smiled and said, "While you were protecting the cup, where was your stress?" The young man realized peace doesn't come from changing the world, it comes from changing focus. Disappearing for 6 months is about choosing where your focus goes. Most people announce their goals. They tell everyone what they are about to do. But the loudest people often make the smallest progress. Growth loves silence. Seeds grow underground, not in front of applause. When you disappear, you stop performing for others and start working for yourself. No validation, no pressure, no comparison. Just quiet progress. For 6 months, imagine waking up without checking your phone first. Imagine starting your day with intention instead of information. Imagine choosing what enters your mind instead of letting the world decide for you. This is not laziness. This is discipline at the highest level. It takes courage to step away in a world addicted to attention. There was once a carpenter who was famous for his speed. One day his apprentice noticed that before starting work, the carpenter would sit quietly, sharpening his tools again and again. Curious, the apprentice asked, "Why do you spend so much time sharpening? You are already skilled." The carpenter replied, "If I sharpen for 1 hour, I save 5 hours of struggle." Disappearing for 6 months is sharpening your inner tools. When you return, your effort multiplies. During these 6 months, you don't argue with people who misunderstand you. You don't try to prove your worth. You don't explain your silence. You let your growth speak later. Silence is not weakness. Silence is preparation. People who talk too much are often hiding confusion. People who work quietly are building something powerful. You begin to notice how much time you were wasting on things that never mattered. Endless scrolling, pointless debates, one-sided relationships, chasing approval, living according to others' timelines. In absence, clarity becomes brutal but beautiful. You start asking honest questions. Who drains my energy? What habits keep me small? What excuses do I repeat? What am I avoiding by staying busy? There is a story of a runner who always finished in the middle of the race. He trained every day but never improved. 1 year, he stopped competing and disappeared. People assumed he had quit. 6 months later, he returned stronger than ever and won. When asked what changed, he said, "I stopped racing others and started training myself." That is the power of stepping away. In these 6 months, discipline becomes your closest friend. Motivation will not visit you every day, but routine will. You wake up even when you don't feel like it. You read even when nobody sees it. You exercise even when there is no applause. You work on skills that don't give instant results. And slowly something shifts. Your confidence becomes quieter but stronger. You don't need to announce your plans because you are too busy executing them. You also learn an important truth. Not everyone deserves access to you. Some people only show up when they need something. Some people enjoy your availability but not your presence. Distance reveals reality. When you disappear, those who truly care will respect your silence. Those who don't will complain, and that tells you everything you need to know. A farmer doesn't dig up seeds every day to check if they are growing. He waters them, protects them, and waits. Your life needs that patience. 6 months is not a long time, but it is long enough to change habits, strengthen discipline, heal emotional wounds, and rebuild direction. You are not behind. You are preparing. During this phase, you learn to sit with discomfort. You stop escaping boredom. You stop numbing emotions. You listen. You reflect. You journal. You pray. You walk. You think. And slowly your mind becomes less reactive. Situations that once triggered you now pass quietly. You realize peace is not found by controlling life, but by controlling yourself. There is an old saying that when the student is ready, the teacher appears. But sometimes the teacher appears when the student finally becomes silent enough to listen. These 6 months are about listening. Listening to your intuition, listening to your body, listening to the lessons life has been whispering while you were distracted. People might say you've changed. Let them. Change is not betrayal. Growth is not arrogance. Protecting your peace is not selfish. The caterpillar disappears before becoming a butterfly. It doesn't answer questions. It doesn't rush. It trusts the process. When you return after 6 months, you won't need to announce it. Your energy will speak. Your calm will speak. Your consistency will speak. People will feel the difference before they understand it. You will walk slower, speak less, and see more clearly. You won't chase attention, because attention will no longer control you. Disappearing is not about isolation. It's about intention. It's choosing depth over noise, purpose over pressure, alignment over approval. In a world where everyone is shouting, the quiet one stands out the most. So if life feels heavy, if confusion surrounds you, if motivation feels forced, don't panic. Step back, go quiet, work silently, heal deeply, grow steadily, disappear for 6 months, not to escape life, but to finally build one that feels true. Because when you stop trying to impress the world, you finally start becoming someone you respect. And that is the greatest success of all. And when those 6 months pass, something very subtle yet powerful happens inside you. You no longer feel the urge to explain yourself. Earlier, you wanted people to understand your choices, your silence, your change. Now, you don't need that anymore. You understand yourself, and that is enough. The hunger for approval slowly fades, replaced by a quiet self-respect that does not depend on claps or compliments. You begin to realize how much energy you once gave away for free, how many conversations drained you, how many opinions confused you, how many expectations boxed you in. During your disappearance, you learn to guard your energy the way a monk guards his prayer time. Not everyone gets access. Not every call needs an answer. Not every emotion deserves a reaction. This is not coldness. This is wisdom. There is a simple story of a man who lived near a river. Every day, villagers came to him with complaints, gossip, and problems. He listened patiently, but over time, he grew tired and bitter. One day, he decided to move his hut a little away from the river, into the forest. People stopped coming so often because it took effort. In that silence, the man found peace again. When people truly needed him, they still came. The unnecessary noise disappeared. Your 6 months of disappearance do the same. They filter your life. You also notice something interesting. The things you were afraid of before were never that scary. Being alone, missing out, being forgotten, disappointing others. In the silence, you face these fears and they lose their power. You realize being alone is not loneliness when you are comfortable with yourself. Missing out on noise makes room for meaning. Being forgotten by some people makes space for better connections. Disappointing others is sometimes the price of being honest with yourself. During this period, you stop living life in emergency mode. Not everything is urgent. Not everything is a crisis. You learn to respond instead of react. You learn to breathe before you speak. You learn to see, before you decide. That pause becomes your superpower. Most people ruin their lives not because they are bad, but because they are rushed. Rushed decisions, rushed emotions, rushed relationships. 6 months of stepping back teaches you patience, and patience changes destiny. There is another story, very simple, very deep. A king once asked a sage, "What is the secret of peace?" The sage wrote 2 words on a paper and handed it to him. The king opened it and read, "This too shall pass." In joy, it reminds you not to get attached. In pain, it reminds you not to lose hope. When you disappear for 6 months, you truly understand this truth. You stop clinging to highs and stop fearing lows. You become steady. Your routines become sacred. Sleeping on time, waking up early, moving your body, feeding your mind with good thoughts, feeding your soul with silence. These small, boring habits start shaping a powerful inner life. You don't chase motivation anymore. You build structure. And structure holds you even on days when you feel weak. People may not see what you're doing. They may assume nothing has changed. Let them. Real transformation is invisible at first. Just like roots grow deep before branches appear, your inner strength grows quietly. And when life tests you again, as it always does, you will respond differently, calmly, clearly, strongly. You also forgive more easily during this phase, not because people deserve forgiveness, but because you deserve peace. You stop carrying old anger into new days. You stop replaying old conversations in your head. You understand that holding on to resentment is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to suffer. Letting go becomes easier when you are not constantly reminded of wounds. At some point in these 6 months, you look back at your old self with compassion. You don't judge yourself harshly anymore. You understand why you did what you did. You were trying to survive with the awareness you had then. Now, you know better, so you do better. Growth is gentle when it comes from understanding, not self-hate. And when you finally step back into the world fully, you don't rush to announce your return. You simply show up differently, more grounded, more focused, more present. Your words carry weight because you don't waste them. Your yes means something because you have learned to say no. Your presence feels calming because you are no longer scattered inside. Some people will feel inspired by your change. Some will feel uncomfortable. That is okay. Your job is not to make everyone comfortable. Your job is to live truthfully. The right people will adjust. The wrong ones will fade away. That is not loss. That is alignment. So remember, disappearing for 6 months is not about hiding. It is about healing. It is about rebuilding yourself without an audience. It is about choosing long-term peace over short-term pleasure. It is about becoming so rooted in who you are that no storm can shake you. If you are standing at a point where everything feels loud and unclear, take this as a sign. Step back, go quiet, trust the process. Give yourself 6 months of honesty, discipline, and silence. What you build there will support you for years. Because sometimes the most powerful move is not to chase, not to fight, not to explain, but to disappear and come back transformed. And after this transformation, something very rare begins to grow inside you. Inner authority, not authority over others, but authority over yourself. Earlier, your mood depended on messages, replies, praise, or criticism. Now, your mood depends on your values. That shift changes everything. You are no longer pushed and pulled by circumstances. You become centered. You stop asking life, "What should I do next?" and start asking, "What kind of person do I want to become?" That question is far more powerful because goals can change, plans can fail, timelines can shift. But character, once built, supports you in every season of life. These 6 months were never about running away from the world. They were about building a strong inner foundation so the world cannot shake you easily anymore. There is a beautiful story of a bamboo tree that explains this perfectly. When a bamboo seed is planted, for the first few years, nothing seems to happen. No shoot, no visible growth. People think the seed is useless, but underground, the roots are spreading deep and wide. In the 5th year, the bamboo suddenly grows several feet in a matter of weeks. Was that growth sudden? No, it was the result of years of invisible preparation. Your 6 months of disappearance are your bamboo years. What looks like nothing from the outside is everything on the inside. During this phase, you also redefine success. Success is no longer just money, status, or recognition. Success becomes waking up without anxiety. Success becomes sleeping without regret. Success becomes having control over your time and attention. Success becomes knowing when to push and when to rest. Many people chase success and lose their health, peace, and relationships. You learn to do the opposite, protect your peace, and success follows naturally. You start enjoying simplicity. Simple food tastes better. Simple conversations feel deeper. Simple days feel fuller. You realize that happiness was never hidden in complexity. It was hidden in presence, in doing one thing at a time, in being where you are fully. Disappearing taught you to slow down, and slowing down taught you to see life clearly. Another quiet change happens. You become less judgmental. When you are constantly busy and reactive, you judge others quickly. But in silence, you see your own struggles more clearly. That humility softens you. You understand that everyone is fighting something you cannot see. This understanding does not make you weak. It makes you compassionate without being foolish. You learn to be kind without being naive. You also stop romanticizing struggle. Earlier, you thought being busy meant being important. Being exhausted meant being dedicated. Being stressed meant being ambitious. Now you know better. You understand that sustainable growth is calm, not chaotic, consistent, not dramatic, deep, not loud. You don't glorify burnout anymore. You respect balance. And here is something very important. You stop waiting for the right time. The right time is no longer some perfect future moment. The right time is now, in small daily actions, reading a few pages, walking a little more, speaking a little less, listening a little deeper. These tiny choices compound. 6 months of small, right choices can change the direction of your entire life. When challenges come, and they will, you face them differently. Earlier, problems felt personal. Now, they feel temporary. Earlier, criticism felt like an attack. Now, it feels like information. Earlier, failure felt like the end. Now, it feels like feedback. That emotional maturity is priceless. It cannot be bought. It can only be built in silence. At some point, you may feel tempted to go back to old patterns, to seek noise, to seek validation, to seek distraction. That is normal. Growth is not a straight line. But now you are aware. Awareness gives you choice, and choice gives you power. You may visit the old world, but you no longer live there. People may ask, where were you? You don't need to explain. Your calm answers for you. Your discipline answers for you. Your clarity answers for you. Not everyone needs the story. Results speak louder than reasons. So if you are listening to this and feeling a quiet pull inside, a desire to step back, to simplify, to go silent for a while, don't ignore it. That pull is wisdom knocking. Honor it. Give yourself permission to disappear without guilt. You are not abandoning life. You are preparing to live it better. Disappear for 6 months. Not to escape reality, but to realign with it. Not to avoid responsibility, but to take responsibility for your inner world. Not to prove anything to anyone, but to finally become someone you respect when no one is watching. Because in the end, the greatest glow up is not visible on the outside. It is the peace you carry within. And once you have that, no matter where you go, you are already home. And once you reach this place within yourself, something beautiful unfolds. You stop rushing life. Earlier, you were always in a hurry to arrive somewhere, a better job, a better version, a better situation, a better future. Now, you understand that life is not a destination, it is a direction. You don't need to sprint. You need to stay aligned. You begin to trust timing, not the lazy kind of trust that waits and does nothing, but the mature trust that works patiently without anxiety. You do your part every day and let life do its part in its own rhythm. This removes a huge burden from your heart. You stop forcing outcomes. You stop begging for signs. You stop panicking when things move slowly. Slow progress no longer scares you because you know you are moving in the right direction. There is a simple story of a potter that explains this. A student once asked a potter why he pressed the clay so gently while shaping the pot. The potter replied, "If I rush, the pot will crack. If I am patient, it will last for years." You realize that your life is also clay. If you rush your healing, rush your growth, rush your success, you may look fine outside but break easily inside. These 6 months taught you how to be patient with your own becoming. You also start living with intention instead of impulse. Earlier, emotions decided your actions. If you felt bored, you scrolled. If you felt lonely, you texted the wrong people. If you felt insecure, you compared. Now you pause. You ask yourself, is this aligned with the person I am becoming? That one question saves you from countless regrets. Your standards rise quietly, not just for others, but for yourself. You no longer tolerate habits that drain you. You no longer settle for relationships that confuse you. You no longer accept excuses from yourself that keep you stuck. This is not harshness. This is self-respect finally finding its voice. You also learn the difference between isolation and solitude. Isolation feels empty and heavy. Solitude feels full and peaceful. During your disappearance, solitude becomes your teacher. You learn to enjoy your own company without distractions. You realize that if you cannot sit alone with yourself, no amount of company will ever satisfy you. This understanding makes you emotionally independent. There will be moments when doubt visits you. You may wonder if all this silence is worth it, if you are falling behind while others are moving ahead. But remember this, many people look busy but feel lost. Many people look successful but feel empty. You chose a different path, a deeper one. And depth always takes time. When you re-enter the world fully, you don't become cold or distant. You become warm but firm, kind but boundaried, loving but not self-sacrificing. You can listen without absorbing negativity. You can care without carrying burdens that are not yours. This balance is rare, and it comes only from inner work. You also stop over-identifying with your past. Mistakes no longer define you. Failures no longer label you. You see them as chapters, not conclusions. This frees you. You stop dragging yesterday into today. You stop letting old versions of yourself control new decisions. Every morning feels like a fresh start, not because life is perfect, but because you are present. At a deeper level, these 6 months teach you humility. You realize how little control you truly have over many things. People, outcomes, timing. And instead of making you anxious, this realization makes you peaceful. You focus on effort, not entitlement.